Shut up, boner. Ah.
Oh, sorry. Halloween just brings out the ghoul in me.
Be quiet, boner. This is old boner here. He's hanging out in the man cave for Halloween this year. He didn't make the grade to be put on the porch. More importantly, guys, this is, of course, is B Junior from Endurance Productions Movie Cave channel. Wanted to just slow down a little bit today and do a horror vlog. Yes, I haven't done a horror vlog in a long time. If you're a newcomer to my ongoing series of horror vlog videos, horror vlog is just a little vlog series that I started doing last year, I believe it was, and I do from time to time. What I do is just sit, put myself on camera, no editing, no cuts. I just basically pick a subject in or around the horror genre and just talk about it. But more importantly, or most importantly, is that it's an interactive vlog that I've set up. Basically, if you see this video, I encourage you to do a video response or give comments, and basically just join in the community type atmosphere, because it's interactive. We're going to talk to each other. That's right. Today's subject that I picked, and I feel I can probably get done in about a 15-minute time slot, is that I've picked 10 horror movies, but not just any horror movies, guys. What I've picked is what I like to call B-grade slashers or second-tier slashers. They're not necessarily the mainstream slasher films. These are all going to be slasher films, mind you, but they're going to be of the secondary nature. These are going to be the type of slasher films that you reach for whenever you've watched your Friday the 13th movies, you're bored to death of Nightmare on Elm Street, and you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre a million times, so you want something different in the slasher genre, but or the slasher subgenre of horror, and you want to pick from some. I'm not only going to recommend these, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them as we go through. I don't I didn't pull them off the shelf, so I'm not going to hold up DVD covers, so bear with me. I'm just going to go down my list. First one I have on my B-grade slasher list here is Just Before Dawn. And let me say before I get too far into it, I'm not putting these films down by any means. I have all these films in my collection. They're just, like I said, they're ones that didn't go on to spawn many sequels, or any sequels for that matter, and they're just ones that I picked out that you could probably go to and watch if you just want to watch something different other than regular Friday the 13th grind or Halloween movies. You know, first one I had on my list there again is Just Before Dawn. Just Before Dawn is your basic backwoods slasher. It's got a good music score by Brad Fiedel, who did music scores for The Terminator and many other James Cameron type films. It's got all the great elements, good kills, decent special effects. It's filmed outdoors. It's not on some set. It's just got a good atmosphere. Kind of creepy. It deals. It's one of the only backwoods slashers that just doesn't have just one killer. It's got twins who are basically doing the killing that's revealed about midway through the movie. And I've just spoiled it for you, I know, but check it out. It's worth your time if you're just bored of everything else. And you're going to see as the list goes on, a lot of these films suffer from second actitis, where they just have either a bad second act or they drag on in the second act, and that's why a lot of people they didn't gravitate towards these, I feel. The second one I have on my list in B-grade slashers is He Knows You're Alone. He Knows You're Alone has, there again, all the prerequisite slasher needs. College students in trouble, running from a killer. The killer in this one kills brides the day before they get married, I believe is the theme to the movie. It's famed for being one of the first roles of Tom Hanks. He's only in it for about 5 minutes. Sorry if you're thinking Tom Hanks is in the movie a whole lot. He more or less makes a glorified cameo and does about 2 scenes. But the only drawback from He Knows You're Alone that it always had to me was the killer's not really that scary. He's got crazy eyes and everything, but there's no gimmick. There's no hockey mask. There's no Halloween mask. There's no chainsaw or nothing like that. He's just a crazed, deranged guy who doesn't really say anything. He just goes around killing brides before they get married. That's really... But it's worth your while if you're bored of everything else there again. Third one on my list, guys, The Toolbox Murders. 1978 version, not the remake. The original Toolbox Murders has one of the best opening first acts, or first 30 minutes, I've seen in a lot of these older slashers like this. It's just great. It starts out with a bang. Then it gets second actitis, where it's just the second act of this film drags on and on and on, and it takes on a different tone where it's like a murder mystery. They're trying to find out who did all the murders in the first act of the movie. The third act kind of brings it back. The killer's revealed, and there's some other slasher-esque things that happen in the beginning and the end there. But like I said, if you don't want to watch the whole film, you can probably get Toolbox Murders done in about 40 to 45 minutes, and you'll be probably all right with that one. The next one, number 4 spot, and these are in no particular order. Slaughter High. Recently revisited Slaughter High, and I gotta say, if you can make it through about the first 15 to 20 minutes, that first opening scenes, where it's like a bad Traumaville movie, you can probably, you get into slasher land during the first of the second act and third act. If you can make it through the first opening scenes, I think you'll enjoy this one. It's got Harry Manfredini music in it, and it's basically lifted cues from, or unused cues in my opinion, from Friday the 13th series. Check it out. The killer in that one wears a court jester kind of mask. It's kind of creepy at first, but then after a while it's not so creepy. I don't know. Eyes of a Stranger is the next one on the list. Eyes of a Stranger is early special effects work from, it's got special effects work from Tom Savini in it, but the only thing is there's not enough of it to really sell the turkey. It's got a couple of good Savini moments with a meat cleaver in the first of the movie. I'll let you find that one out. It's pretty cool. There's a good beheading scene that looks pretty darn good. Now the sound effect in that scene is what's really funny. It doesn't really help the scene much. But in the beginning scenes and the end scenes, there's good special effects by Tom Savini. They're just far and few between. It's an early role for Jennifer Jason Leigh, the actress who plays the blind mute girl in the movie, I believe. It's kind of your basic, it's almost like a psychological thriller with horror special effects thrown in, so don't expect a whole lot from it, but it's something different to watch. Next on the list, I debated on whether or not even putting this one on this type of list, but it's a bad movie, but bad in that good way. It's definitely in my collection. I've grown to like it over the years, but the movie is still kind of a B-grade slasher in my opinion. But it's a good B-grade slasher. It's Don't Go in the Woods, or Don't Go in the Woods Alone, however you want to title it. Don't Go in the Woods is just one of those that it just grew on me. The more I watch it, the more funny scenes I pick out in the movie. It's so bad, it's bad in that good way. But it is a backwoods slasher, and just don't expect any high-tech special effects. The whole entire movie's been dubbed, so the voice cues are a little bit off there, but it adds to its charm. It's so bad that it adds to its charm, if that makes any sense. Decent practical effects. They're not the best you've ever seen. It's done on a shoestring budget, but that's wherein lies the charm to a lot of these. They were done on such a shoestring budget, but at the same time, it's amazing that they even got the movies made and got them out to the public, to even speak of production value. So there again, Don't Go in the Woods. Check it out if you never have. It's a decent little backwoods slasher with some good Monty Python-esque comedy thrown into it as well. Don't take it too seriously. Next one on the list, When a Stranger Calls, the original from the late 70s. It's got one of the best first acts I've ever seen in a suspense thriller. I mean, it just builds suspense great. The whole first 30 minutes is gold. I mean, it's a great little opening to a movie. But it's one of those movies where you can't help but think that this was two separate movies, that they just hired the actor Charles Durning to kind of tie them all together. Because you get into it's definitely, you can tell the first act, the second act, and the third act. It's like three separate little movies, a trilogy put into an hour and a half. It's kind of confusing, but the killer is not really scary in my opinion. He's a bit deranged, but he's not real scary in the movie. But you can definitely tell that the first act is gold. The second act, it makes you feel like it was a different movie, and they just kind of tweaked it and pulled it into this movie. Then the third act starts. It picks up with the babysitter from the first act after she's gotten older a few years later, and then the killer reemerges. So it's kind of like I say, when you watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just kind of definitely a very segmented movie. It's a different segments throughout the movie. But if anything, the first 30 minutes is definitely worth your time. Next one on the list, Happy Birthday to Me. Another one kind of like Don't Go in the Woods. I debated about even putting this one on the list because it's a decent slasher. It's got, I believe her name is Melissa Sue Anderson from Little House on the Prairie. She played one of the older sisters on that show. She plays the main character in this movie. It's not your average slasher. There's a twist ending to it, so it's it's got decent little special effects throughout. It's got that great cover art with the shish kebab going at dude's mouth, and he's like, he's all bug-eyed and everything. But there again, it kind of drags on before it gets to the climax of the movie a little bit, so probably not the first one I would grab for, but that's what this list is about. Remind you again, this isn't about the first ones you grab off the shelf. This is the ones that are kind of bad in that good way, or just second tier slashers, just something different to watch. Happy Birthday to Me, there again. Watch it if you haven't, give it at least a viewing. Number 9 on the list is The Mutilator. The major con to The Mutilator, filmed out here in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. That's not the con, but the major con to the movie is its availability. There is no availability on DVD yet. It's never been put out on DVD or any other optical format that I know of, not even Laserdisc. It's had a couple releases on VHS. Seek out, they have an R-rated version and an unrated version. The unrated version, from what I've learned, that's the one I have in my collection. It just basically has some elongated special effects scenes, so I try to pick that one up if you can. I don't advocate it at all, buying bootlegs, but if you go to websites like iOffer and eBay, sometimes they'll have DVD versions of it on there. I wouldn't expect any great boost in quality because, like I said, it's more or less, my best guess is going to be a VHS rip of the movie. So, to each his own with that one. I'm just throwing that out there. The Mutilator is a decent mid-range, mid-80s slasher. The reason why I put it on the list because it's kind of bad in that good way, but it's a decent slasher. It's not the first one I grab, but it's just kind of got that charm, that low-budget charm to it. It was filmed in my home state of North Carolina, so I really enjoy the film itself overall. Homegrown effort there. It was kind of made in the mid 80s, around 86, 87, so it was in that downgrade of the slasher genre before we got into horror comedies like Child Play and all the crap that started coming out in the early 90s. So for it to be in the decline spot, it's still a strong little slasher. Don't expect much in the acting department, in my opinion, but it's still one of those you just can't go without seeing. And it's one of those little hidden gems too. You have to look for it. You can't just get it off Netflix. So if you have a buddy that has it, borrow it, watch it, draw your own conclusion on it. Number 10. This is a recent view, a recent revisit, if you will. Got it off Netflix and watched it the other day. I don't have it yet in the collection, but I think I'm going to have to add it. The movie is Tourist Trap. An early role for Tanya Roberts from Charlie's Angels fame, the old TV show, mind you, and Beastmaster, and she later had a role on the 70s show. She's probably the most notable actress in the movie, but it's basic slasher with a twist. It's got some good kills, but it's also got a kind of a ghost story, kind of that or ESP or telepathy type powers what worked into the killer in the movie. I'm not real sure how to explain it, and it's got kind of a killer puppet kind of twist on it too. If you watch it before, you know what I'm talking about. But it's your basic. It's got all the elements of a slasher. Don't go to it. Don't go in that house. All those kind of lines. I got a bad feeling about this. I think that pops up in the movie too. All those classic lines and mistakes that the main characters make. That's my list of 10 here, guys. But more importantly, that's what Horror Vlog's all about. It's now the time where I turn it back to you guys. Leave me your video responses. I urge you. Leave them. Leave your comments. Join in to the horror goodness here, because I hope to do another horror vlog right before Halloween or there around that time frame, because horror movies have been flying fast and furious around the old man cave here. So expect some reviews coming up soon, and the drawing in another week or so for the horror movie giveaway contest. If you haven't done if you haven't gotten on the list yet, leave me a comment. Let me know you want to join in on the horror movie giveaway contest, because it's coming up soon. I think I'll close now. I'll look for your video responses and your comments. Enjoy Horror Vlog, and we'll see how far it goes. Take care, dudes. I'll see you next time.